So I remember I was basically getting bullied at school for a year. Maybe not physically, but mentally I was coping it. Everybody hated me. And then one day finally I finished school and I went back to my hometown and I was at this massive 3-day concert. It happens every year, and my parents had let me leave school like a week early or a few days early because they knew that I loved this concert and I'd always wanted to go, and I just had a horrible year at school and they wouldn't let me leave the school, right? So they said, okay, you can come to this concert. On the first day I got there, immediately I bumped into like a bunch of friends who were like yelling, jumping up and down, like jumping on me. And it was like this completely different energy because I just spent a year being at a school where people didn't really like me because I got off on the wrong foot. And I'm gonna get back to that on how this holiday changed my life at school. But I want to explain, bro. I had a bunch of friends who really loved me. I had I guess you could say a bit of clout. You know, I knew a lot of people. I had a presence. A lot of people heard of my name. That's common in Hong Kong. Anyways, this guy, we clicked really well. We were both not drinking that night. We're like, yeah, we're locked in and shit. We're bonding over that. I mean, that aged well, but no, I'm joking. But anyways, we see this really drunk guy on the floor. My friend and this guy that I just met, we all went over to pick up this drunk guy, help carry him to a taxi stand out of this concert. And on the way, we bumped into this girl who was my friend. I knew her like for 5 years now or something, like something really long. And she was with her friends. And I remember we were talking to them for a bit. I'm like, hey, do you guys just want to come with while we walk this dude to the taxi stand? They say, oh yeah, sure. And I don't think they expected that, right? But they're coming with us, and there's this one girl who I'm talking to. And look, I didn't know that I was such a romantic or anything. But from her perspective, because we got into a conversation, and she was basically saying, oh, I'm special, blah, blah, blah. We're just friends now. Nothing ever, it just ended. But she was literally saying, when I was speaking to her, it felt like time slowed down and something special was building. And it was a pretty nice conversation. We were talking about going on a date at that time. And fast forward, the night goes on. But this blew me away. I just met this guy and I clicked with him so well. I just met this girl and I'm already planning to go on a date. This is my first night back in Hong Kong. Literally this morning, I was struggling to hold a conversation with a neighbor. But after I pushed through that awkwardness for 1 or 2 hours at a concert, I knew a few people, so it was easy to get in the flow. And then I'm with my good friends. All of a sudden, it got a lot easier. Then when I went back to school, this is the interesting thing. It didn't change immediately. It did, but it didn't completely change immediately. It was nothing like the year before. But you know how every year you have the final few weeks of your school and then everyone goes on holiday? It felt quite similar to that, except it was a bit of a fresh start. But I still kept copying so much shit in my classes. I'd be taking the piss out of all the time. But there was something new. Now I started to make some new friends. I had this new energy. I was getting out of my bubble a lot. I started a YouTube channel. I started working really hard. I mean, I was already working quite hard, but I really bloomed that year, halfway through the year. And it only took one strong moment where I stood up for myself really clearly in front of everybody else. And after I did that, I felt everything changed. At first there was a bit of backlash, but over time it started to change and people they treated me like a new person, really. I felt after that whole year of school had finished, which was my second year at that school, everything completely changed. Of course, the unfortunate thing is that first impressions stay awfully long. So I could never fully escape it and become the guy. People have said to me, if I came there at the start of school how I was now, I would literally be one of the most popular guys, right? I mean, I actually, I kind of know that logically, I would have made so many great friends. I would have been treated so much better. But I wouldn't have changed it because if I didn't go through that experience, then maybe I wouldn't have started this channel, right? Anyways, over time, I started to be treated completely differently. And it all came back to this holiday, bro, because that was a life-changing experience. That showed me I'm worth being treated great. Because it was really, really weird going from being treated people literally recognized me without me knowing them They're like, yo, you're Finn, right? Oh, it's nice to meet you. I'm like low-key a celebrity. I was like, what? And that was completely different to how I got treated at school. And nobody knew that, right? Nobody at my outside of school knew that I was having a hard time at school, and nobody at school knew that I was the guy outside of school. So it was like genuinely felt like living two lives. But then this like time came where I basically combined my two lives. Like I became this guy that I am now in my life at school. It's still hard, you know, people didn't treat me how I should have been treated. Like I didn't get the same respect that I got. Like over here, I just randomly meet people and people fuck with me. And it was really mind-opening to not have that for a bit. Before I get in this video teaching you probably the best thing that I would do if I had a full summer holiday again, I'm Finn, and I help young guys make really high quality friends. I do have a course step by step on how I build my dream social life. The link's in the description if you're interested. So, one thing that I learned this first holiday, I was surprised because I had these friends that I got really close with, and you know how I didn't have many close friends at school, but I did outside of school. Well, there's the one group that I got really close with, I prioritized. I had this one really, really great friend who would hang out a lot, and he was like, we were way closer, but we didn't hang out quite as much because like he wasn't down to go out, he was training all the time. But then these other guys, we were good friends, and the sad thing that happened was I really needed some help going through the year. Like I would call a friend quite a bit when I would need some help, I would need advice, I wanted to chat quite often, like at least a few times a week, maybe once a week minimum. And some weeks it was like every day. So I needed friends to be there for me, but none of them would ever really like call. None of them were actually there to help me out. And it made me think a bit. This isn't dissing them. Like they might not even know that that's what I was really going through. But they didn't really take the effort to like care that I was going through something tough or to speak to me about like, oh, if they could help in any way. But I had a friend who was always there on the phone, like giving me advice, like trying to help me out. He knew how much I was struggling. And even though he was busy as shit, he couldn't call all the time. He made that clear to me, like, yo, you're my guy, you know? And that's when I learned like the difference. Bro, one good friend is worth everything. Like it's worth more than anything you could get. That taught me you can't party with friends you wouldn't train with. Because a lot of these guys I'd met, you know, going on these social nights out and meeting loads of people. But truly the friends that you're going to be the closest with is, yeah, you might meet them on a night out. Like it's pretty unlikely. I think it usually, like that kind of only happens in Hong Kong where you meet a high quality person on a night out and then you actually go hang out. Because like at a nightclub when you're older and shit, in like other countries, they ain't give a fuck. Like they'll be like, yeah, you're my boy, and then the next day they'll be like, who the fuck is this guy? They won't even remember you because they're so drunk, right? Anyways, you have a few friends, and trust me on this, mate, the friends you have who don't go to the gym, who don't have things going for themselves in life, will happily burn you to the ground when they need it. Those are the kind of guys who you have a girlfriend and they'll hit on your girlfriend because they can't get girls. Those guys you want to really avoid. And I'm not comparing them to the friends I was with before. I'm just saying that when you have a big group of friends, don't prioritize them over your like one. You need one or two like super close friends. If both of them ask you to hang out on a day, don't cancel on anyone. But if both of them ask you and you haven't planned anything, say, sorry bro, I'm hanging out with my boy because he's closer to me. That's my really good friend. Or of course, just say, oh,